Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English with Me, the podcast where we help you speak English more naturally, more confidently, and a little more like a local.
That's right. I'm Rebecca, and as always, I'm so happy to be here with all of you. Whether you're listening on your morning commute, during a walk, or maybe relaxing at home, welcome, welcome, welcome.
And I'm Mike. And oh, Rebecca, today's topic. I have to say, this one is really close to my heart.
Ooh, close to your heart? Now I'm intrigued. So, everyone listening, today we are talking about city life and country life. How do we talk about these two very different lifestyles in English?
Exactly. And this is such a universal topic. Almost everyone has an opinion. Do you prefer the buzz of the city or the peace and quiet of the countryside?
And before we dive in, I just want to say, stick with us until the end because we have some really lovely vocabulary coming up, some useful phrases, and maybe a little surprise or two along the way.
Oh yes, stay tuned. You definitely don't want to miss it. Trust me on that one.
All right, Mike, let's set the scene first. When we talk about city life, what are we actually picturing?
Great question. So, when most people say city life, they're thinking about living in a large, densely populated urban area, places like New York, London, Tokyo, or even Ho Chi Minh City. These are places that are full of energy, full of people, and full of noise.
Full of noise, yes! That's a very diplomatic way to put it, Mike.
Haha, I try. So, a key word here is urban. Urban simply means relating to a city. So, urban life, urban environment, urban culture, these all describe things connected to the city.
Exactly. And on the flip side, we have rural, which refers to the countryside or areas outside of cities. Think open fields, farms, forests, small villages. That's rural life.
And somewhere in between, we have what's called suburban areas, or the suburbs. These are residential areas that are on the outskirts of a city, not quite countryside.
Right, so you have urban, rural, and suburban. Three really important adjectives when we talk about where people live. Now, Mike, are you a city person or a country person?
Oh, Rebecca, you're putting me on the spot already. We've barely started.
Come on, come on. The people want to know.
Okay. Honestly, I grew up in a small town, which is kind of between rural and suburban, and I've lived in a big city for the past 10 years, so I feel like I've seen both sides.
That actually makes you the perfect person to talk about this topic.
Maybe. What about you, Rebecca?
Me, I'm a city girl through and through. I love the convenience, the energy, the fact that everything is just right there. But I do sometimes dream about waking up to the sound of birds instead of car horns.
Car horns. The city alarm clock. All right, let's dig into city life first. Rebecca, for someone who loves city living, can you describe it? And let's pick up some great vocabulary along the way.
Absolutely. So, one of the first things people love about city life is the infrastructure. Infrastructure refers to the basic systems and services that a place needs to function. Things like public transportation, roads, electricity, internet, hospitals, schools. Cities generally have excellent infrastructure.
And speaking of public transportation, this is a huge deal. In big cities, you have the metro or the subway, buses, trams, maybe even ferries. People talk about their daily commute. That's the journey you make from home to work and back again every day.
Oh, the commute, yes. I love the city, but the commute is one thing I could do without sometimes. Rush hour is no joke.
Rush hour. Another great phrase. Rush hour is the period in the morning and evening when traffic is heaviest because everyone is going to or coming home from work. It's called rush hour because everyone is in a rush, but ironically, you move very slowly.
Isn't that so true? You're rushing, but you're stuck in traffic for 45 minutes. The irony is real.
It really is. Now, another thing people associate with city life is amenities. Amenities are the features or facilities that make a place comfortable and convenient to live in. Things like restaurants, cafes, gyms, parks, cinemas, shopping centers, all of these are amenities.
And this is one of my absolute favorite things about city life. The sheer variety of amenities. You want Thai food at midnight? There's a place for that. You want to see live jazz on a Tuesday? There's a venue for that. The options are almost endless.
That's a great point. Cities also offer a lot of opportunities, career opportunities, educational opportunities, social opportunities. A lot of people move to the city because they want to advance in their career, or they want access to top universities, or they simply want to meet more people and expand their social circle.
Social circle. That means the group of friends and acquaintances that you have. In a city, your social circle can be incredibly diverse. You meet people from all walks of life, from different backgrounds, different cultures.
That diversity is something a lot of city lovers really cherish. But now, let's be honest, city life isn't all sunshine and jazz clubs, is it?
No, it is not. Cities also come with their challenges. The cost of living, for one. The cost of living refers to how much money you need to maintain a certain standard of living in a particular place, covering things like rent, food, transportation, and so on. And in most major cities, the cost of living is extremely high.
Rent especially. I swear, half my paycheck goes to rent every month.
I feel you, Mike. I feel you. And then there's pollution. Air pollution, noise pollution, light pollution. Cities can be quite overwhelming for the senses, especially if you're not used to it.
And the pace of life. The pace of life in a city is fast. Everything moves quickly. People walk fast, talk fast, eat fast. It can be exhilarating, but it can also be exhausting.
Exhilarating, what a great word. It means thrilling and exciting. Yes, the fast pace can feel exhilarating, but it can also lead to stress and what we call burnout. That feeling of being completely physically and mentally exhausted from working too hard for too long.
Burnout is unfortunately very common in city life. But okay, before we get too gloomy, let's talk about the other side of the coin, country life.
Yes, let's go to the countryside.
Ah, the countryside. So, when people talk about country life or rural living, what are the first things that come to mind?
Peace, quiet, space, fresh air, nature. These are the words people almost always use. In rural areas, you have wide open spaces, fields, forests, rivers, mountains. The landscape is just breathtaking.
Breathtaking, meaning so beautiful it almost takes your breath away. Yes. And that connection to nature is something a lot of people in the city really, really miss or crave.
Crave, meaning to have a very strong desire for something. Absolutely. I think there's a reason why going on a countryside retreat is so popular. People escape the city to recharge, to reconnect with nature and restore their energy.
Retreat is another lovely word. A retreat is a quiet, peaceful place you go to in order to rest and recover. Or it can describe the act of going to such a place. We went on a weekend retreat in the mountains. Beautiful.
Now, Mike, you mentioned you grew up in a small town. What do you miss about that kind of life?
Oh, the sense of community, honestly, that's the biggest thing. In rural areas and small towns, there's often a very strong sense of community, the feeling that people know each other, look out for each other, and truly belong to the same place.
That's really lovely. In a city, you can live next door to someone for 5 years and never know their name. In a small village, everyone knows everyone, for better or for worse.
For better or for worse, that's so true. There's no anonymity in a small town. Anonymity means the state of being unknown or unrecognized. In cities, you can be quite anonymous. No one really knows who you are. In small towns, everyone knows your business.
Oh, definitely. My aunt lives in a tiny village and she says if she buys a new car, the whole village is talking about it by the next morning.
That is absolutely perfect. I love it. But seriously, that community spirit is something that is genuinely priceless.
Now, another big topic when we talk about rural life is the slower pace of life. Unlike the rushed, hectic lifestyle of the city, country life tends to move at a more relaxed, unhurried pace. People often describe it as a simpler way of life.
And that simplicity can be very appealing. Less traffic, less noise, less stress. You might wake up to birdsong instead of an alarm clock. You might grow your own vegetables. You might actually know the person who makes your bread.
Living off the land. That's another phrase we hear in this context. It means growing or raising your own food, relying on the natural resources around you. There's a growing movement of people, especially younger generations, who are moving to rural areas specifically to live off the land and lead a more sustainable lifestyle.
Sustainable, meaning practices that don't damage the environment and can be maintained long term. It's a really important concept these days. And rural life, in many ways, naturally lends itself to more sustainable habits.
But, and there's always a but, country life also has its difficulties, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of amenities and services. In remote rural areas, you might have limited access to healthcare, so the nearest hospital might be an hour away. Schools might be few and far between. Shops and restaurants, very limited.
And job opportunities can be quite scarce in rural areas. Scarce means not enough of something in short supply. This is actually one of the main reasons people leave rural areas and move to the city, because there simply aren't enough jobs.
That phenomenon even has a name: rural to urban migration. Migration means movement from one place to another. Rural to urban migration refers to the trend of people moving from the countryside to the city in search of better opportunities.
It's happening all over the world, and it has a massive impact on both the communities people leave behind and the cities they move to.
Deep stuff. This is why I love this topic. It's not just about vocabulary, it's about real human experiences.
Okay, so now let's talk about how you can actually compare these two lifestyles in English, because this is where things get really practical for our listeners.
Yes, and let's be real, a lot of English conversations involve comparing things and expressing your own opinion. So let's look at some natural ways to do that.
First, let's look at some comparison language. We use phrases like compared to, in contrast to, whereas, and on the other hand. For example, compared to city life, country life tends to be much quieter, or whereas cities offer endless career opportunities, rural areas often have very few.
And then for expressing opinions, we have phrases like, personally, I think, in my opinion, from my perspective, I tend to believe, I'm a firm believer that.
So if someone asks you, which do you prefer, city life or country life, you might say something like, personally, I think city life suits me better because I love having everything at my fingertips. But I totally understand why some people prefer the peace of the countryside.
At my fingertips, that means immediately and easily accessible. I love having everything at my fingertips. Great expression.
And here's another one. The grass is always greener on the other side. Have you heard this idiom?
Oh, this is a classic. The grass is always greener on the other side. It means that other people's situations or lives always seem better than your own, even if they aren't really. So a city person might dream of the quiet countryside, while a country person might dream of the exciting city life.
Exactly. It's human nature, isn't it? We always want what we don't have. The city person fantasizes about morning walks through the meadow, and the country person fantasizes about late-night food and concerts.
So true. Now, here are a few more expressions that come up a lot in this topic. Hustle and bustle. This refers to the busy, noisy activity of a city. I love the hustle and bustle of New York. It's a fun phrase because it rhymes.
Off the beaten track. This means away from popular or well-traveled areas. Rural places are often described as off the beaten track. It can also describe something unusual or uncommon.
Wide open spaces simply refers to large open areas of land with few buildings or people. People often say they need wide open spaces when they want to escape the crowdedness of the city.
And creature comforts. These are the basic things that make life comfortable and pleasant, like a warm home, good food, and modern appliances. City life is often associated with more creature comforts because of the availability of modern services and technology.
Great selection, Rebecca. Now let's try to put some of this together in a mini dialogue to show you how natural, flowing conversation sounds on this topic. All right, let's put all of this together in a little conversation. Rebecca and I are going to chat naturally, just like two friends would, so you can hear how these words and phrases flow in real life.
Perfect. Okay, Mike, I'll kick things off. So, honestly, have you ever seriously considered leaving the city?
You know what, Rebecca? Yes. There are mornings when I'm stuck in rush hour traffic, completely drained before my workday even starts, and I think, what if I just moved to the countryside? No hustle and bustle, no noise, just wide open spaces and fresh air.
I totally get that feeling. But wouldn't you miss the amenities? Like everything is at your fingertips here in the city. Good restaurants, late night options, the whole social scene.
Oh, for sure. That would be the hardest part. But compared to city life, rural living offers something the city just can't give you, that real sense of community. Your neighbors actually know your name. There's something genuinely priceless about that.
That's true. But I wonder, what about job opportunities? In a lot of rural areas, they're pretty scarce. Wouldn't that be a deal breaker?
That's the big trade-off, isn't it? The cost of living is much lower in rural areas, but so are the opportunities. I think it depends on what you do for work. With remote working becoming more common these days, more and more people are making that move.
That's a really good point. The rise of remote work has completely changed the rural to urban migration conversation. Some people are actually going the other way now, urban to rural.
Exactly. The grass is always greener on the other side, but sometimes you can actually go and live on that grass.
I love that, Mike. I think I'm still too much of a city girl at heart to make the leap. But honestly, the idea of a countryside retreat every now and then, sign me up.
You're always welcome to visit. I'll have the kettle on.
I'll have the kettle on. And there it is, everyone. That's a very warm, very British way of saying, come over, I'll make you a cup of tea. Isn't that such a cozy expression?
It really is. And see how naturally all of those vocabulary words just came up in our conversation. That's exactly how you want to use them. Not as a list, but woven into real, flowing dialogue.
Okay, everyone, let's do a quick vocabulary recap because we've covered a lot of ground today and we want to make sure everything sticks.
Here we go. When we talk about city life, remember the words urban, infrastructure, amenities, and commute. These are your foundation words for discussing life in a city.
For country life, think of rural, community, sustainable, and landscape. These will serve you really well in conversation and in writing.
We also talked about expressions like the hustle and bustle, off the beaten track, wide open spaces, and creature comforts. These make your English sound natural and expressive.
And for comparing and giving opinions, keep in mind phrases like compared to, whereas, personally, I think, and from my perspective.
Here's a little challenge for you. After listening to this episode, try writing 3 sentences comparing city life and country life using at least 3 of the vocabulary words we covered today. Post them in the comments. We'd love to read them.
Oh, yes, we read every single comment. And honestly, seeing your sentences always makes our day.
All right, we are coming up on the end of today's episode, and as always, it went by way too fast.
It really did. I love this topic so much. And I hope all of you listening got something really useful out of today. Whether it's new vocabulary, new phrases, or just a new way of thinking about how to express yourself in English.
And remember, learning English is a journey, not a destination. Every episode you listen to, every word you practice, every conversation you attempt in English, it all adds up. You are making progress, even when it doesn't feel like it.
That is so beautifully said, Mike. We really do believe in each and every one of you. This community, your support, your comments, your enthusiasm, it means the world to us.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to English with me if you haven't already, and share this episode with a friend who's learning English. It really does help us grow.
And hey, if there's a topic you'd love us to cover in a future episode, Drop it in the comments. We are always listening.
Until next time, keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep speaking English.
Bye for now, everyone. You've got this.